Greetings and welcome to Let's Talk About Books, baby, where we talk with your favorite LGBTQ authors. This is Anita Kelly, and my guest today is Suzie Clarke. Hello, Suzie.
Hi, Anita. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing really well,
Oh, I'm glad to
enjoying the
hear that.
fall.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. It's a nice season, isn't it?
It is. It is my favorite season. It really is.
Oh, cool.
I
Cool.
love the colors and just the bugs aren't as bad as they are in the summer, and it's just really nice.
Yeah, and we kind of had a nasty summer, right?
We did. I don't know how it was in Pennsylvania, but Ohio was. It wasn't the most pleasant summer we've had. It was just so hot.
Yeah. I think that's the way it was here, and we didn't spend a lot of time outside, unfortunately. Ah. So Susie, I wanted to talk with you, and thanks for being on the show because you have a new release called Enigma.
That's right. I
S-
do.
So tell us about this new release.
Well, I'm very excited about this is my first historic novel that I've written. It's set in the 19 early 1940s, right before Pearl Harbor, about 2 weeks before Pearl Harbor. And one of the really exciting things for me is that the setting is in my hometown in Barberton and Akron, Ohio. So I was really excited to put it there in that
Ah,
area.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was excited. I had to make up some things, but
That's
but
great.
it's really fun to to it's so familiar to write that, and it was like just being home again in a way. So it was fun to write it, and I
Oh,
got some really good support from the local area. They're excited that they have a book. I have a book coming out with my hometown in it, so all my people are excited about it. So
oh, that's so nice. So
yeah.
Um, it is is it about the war?
Actually, it's about a spy who is
Oh,
sent from Washington to this town in Akron, Barberton area in Ohio, who is going to go to the airplane plant because they suspect that information is being stolen or tampered with. And at the airplane plant, the designs, shipment dates,
hmm.
amounts, those kinds of things. So she's sent there to try to find if there is a spy to try to find the spy, and
Okay.
that's where it starts.
All
And then it
right.
kind of just leads into the things that she gets into and what happens to her. And obviously, there's a love interest in that. So
Okay. So why is it called Enigma?
well, that's a great question. Enigma means a mystery or something that's hard to figure out,
Mm-hmm.
and really, her code name is Enigma. The
Ah,
the um, the agent's code name is Enigma.
okay. That's cool. How did you come up with that?
I had heard it years ago, Anita, years and years ago, and it was that the just the word fascinates me.
Okay.
Not everyone knows what it means, but it's just fascinating to me. And it just seemed to really, as I thought about this story and developing this story, it just seemed to fit really well in that
Mm-hmm.
story.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. I
So
love that
yeah,
it's her code name.
yeah, it's recording, and I can't tell you anything more about that part, so because I don't want to
Okay.
spoil. We have to be careful today and not
Okay.
and not do
No
any
spoiler
spoilers. So
alerts, right?
I'll be careful. I'll be real
Okay.
careful. But
Okay.
it's a story of the woman. Her name, obviously her code name is Enigma, and her name is Polly, and she comes to this town, and of course, there was a shortage of back in those days during right before the war and close to it, there was a shortage of housing and space because everybody was doing all kinds of things, moving around, working especially in the plants. They were having a flux of people coming into these airplane plants and production plants, and there just was no housing. So she is going to stay at a boarding house right there in town where the mayor has asked all the people to open their homes for people because there's been such an influx of thousands of people have come into the area to work at all these plants and do everything.
Okay. So,
So then it's a story of her.
wow. That sounds like an awesome read. I can't wait to read it. I actually have it, and
Great.
just it's on my list. Like I saw the cover. So did you choose that cover?
Yes, the Bold Strokes people were really good about helping me work that cover in. So I was very excited about it
Oh,
because
great.
it just fits it so well.
Okay. So Enigma, right, is like this thriller intrigue novel. Like your
Romantic intrigue,
okay.
historic romantic intrigue. That's
Okay.
how we're billing it because it's about 50% romance and 50% intrigue. So
Okay.
we want to make sure that everybody knows it is romance too. It's
Okay.
a big, huge romance story, but
Okay.
um, I can't tell you all about that because it'll give some of it away.
Okay. All right. Don't give it away. But your other books had this romance intrigue aspect to them, right? Um,
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, how did you decide to write a book that was historical in nature and set like during World War II, especially?
Well, I talked to some of my friends, quite a few of my friends, and I said, okay, if you would have an opportunity to read an historic novel,
Hmm.
lesbian historic set during the war, would you like to read it before? Would you like to read about before Pearl Harbor or after Pearl Harbor? And all of them said before.
Really?
Yeah, and I was leaning towards before because there's so much written about during, when the war gets started and we get into the war. There's been so much written about, but there's not a lot written about what happens to us prior to Pearl Harbor. What's going on in our country? What are we doing? What are we thinking? How do we feel about the war in Europe? Those kinds of things.
Hmm.
So all those issues are touched upon in this book.
Hmm.
I was tried to be really careful to get the intrigue part as part of the war, that's part of the intrigue part of it. So, to how do we feel about it and things like that.
Yeah.
So
So, are you interested in like history and World War II, especially?
I am, but I am really interested in what happened in this country prior to Pearl Harbor
Okay.
and how we acted. What do we do? What led up to us getting into the war? Obviously, we did have choices. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the United States had a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the things that I found out that happened prior to Pearl Harbor, I didn't realize that we were being our ships were being destroyed
Mm-hmm.
prior to Pearl Harbor, and there was a lot going on. And the one thing that kind of cinched it for me
Mm-hmm.
to make a decision about what time period to write was in January 1941. President Roosevelt gave his union, State of the Union address, and in that address, and in several other close to it, he talked about the possibility and the reality of spies being here in the United States, and that just cinched it, just cinched it for me. I
Wow.
never thought about that. I never
Mm-hmm.
thought about spies actually being here in the United States because we always think about it in other countries.
Right.
We always, especially England and France, they have all kinds of spies. Everybody was, and all the movies are about these spies that are trying to get information from the different countries.
Mm-hmm.
But there just isn't anything hardly at all about what happened in the United States.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the censure for me that was it for me. And when I found that, I thought, oh, because I was worried reality could it, because even though my stories are fiction, I really want them to be based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, when I read his President Roosevelt's talk and what he said, I thought, that's it. I know I've got legitimacy now for what I want to try to do. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So you would like. Have you ever heard of a TV show called Foyle's War?
no, I haven't.
It's put out by I think the BBC. It's a British show, but it's interesting because it tells the story of World War II, like pre-war, during war, and even after,
Mm-hmm.
from the perspective of the Brits and how they feel about America, like the U.S. getting involved in the
Mm-hmm.
war. Um, like there are a lot of sentiments pro and anti, and
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
just never occurred to me. I don't know. So it's yeah, you would probably like it. It's a good show.
I'm sure I would.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up and see.
yeah,
Thank you.
sure. So, what kind of research did you have to do for this then?
Oh, the research almost was endless. It really was. It took
Yeah.
me, I was probably heavily involved in nothing but research for about 8 months before I even started writing.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's plus I had to make some things up, like I said, because there just wasn't what I needed in the area. So then that was more that I wanted to research because my goal has been to immerse the reader in 1941.
Mm-hmm.
And when you open that first page, my goal was to put that reader right there and keep them there, not let them step out.
Mm-hmm.
So every word that's written, every phrase that's used, everything had to be
Mm-hmm.
that would be done in 1941. That you can't read a page or a scene and say, nah, that wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I just really wanted to be very careful. So there was, and plus there was just so much going on here in the United States, and conversations that characters have. Of course, I wanted it to be based on reality of the actions and events that were happening right then during that time period. So I had to do a lot of research on what was going on here in the United States. What were they doing? What were their concerns?
Mm-hmm. Did you enjoy that? Like looking up the lingo and
I did. I
yeah,
really did.
yeah.
I enjoyed it very much. I have several books, historic books that I enjoyed so much going through them and learning more. And it just amazes me. I know in my acknowledgments I say some things about how I felt about the research. So
Oh, that's so cool. I know I wrote a short story that takes place in like the 20s, and it was just fun just to you know
mm-hmm,
just kind of research what people were saying like that, and uh what they weren't saying really,
mm-hmm,
uh
mm-hmm.
so yeah, that is fun. Like language is just I don't know, it, it's really cool to study, I guess. And
Yeah, it
yeah,
is. It really
yeah.
is. Well, someone had asked me what was the most fun? What was the most fun scene that you wrote in the book, in the whole book?
Uh-huh.
And I have thought so much about that since I talked to them about it. Actually, fun scene, I'd
Mm-hmm.
have to say the most fun I had was writing a scene where Polly and the woman that she's staying with her and some of their friends from the airplane factory
Mm-hmm.
are going to a Glenn Miller concert.
That's
And
awesome.
and actually in Akron, it was an actual place where Glenn Miller really did perform there at the ballroom there down in Summit Ballroom. And I got to go to the area. I got to search that, and he really had been there, and it was just so fun
Oh,
to
that's
step back and go through that.
yeah, that's so cool. Good for you. Oh my goodness, that's
So
great.
I would say more. I won't say more than that about that particular part because it
Okay.
was one of the most fun scenes I wrote in the book.
Cool. So, because of this, historical component, did it take you longer to write than it did any of your other novels?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, excluding the research because I did so much, and then I outlined the chapters.
Okay.
This time, I did a little different than I have in the past. And I think I'm going to start doing that. I have started doing that with all the books now that I write. But I wrote the chapters out and tried to outline those chapters before I even started because I had so much by the time I was done. I had to be careful about getting off.
Wow.
on an off topic somewhere. So I wrote the chapters out as far as an outline, and
Mm-hmm.
then approached it from that way. So I was able to stay on task and make sure that the goals and objectives of this writing was what I really wanted in this story.
Did you find that that worked out better for you, like having an outline to follow than just kind of flying by the seat of your pants?
Well, yeah, in this particular case, it really helped a lot
Mm-hmm.
because it helped me. I wrote faster. Once I started, I think I was done in 6 months. It took me
Wow.
6 months, I think, to write the book.
Oh,
But I had so much; it was a matter of keeping what I really needed to enlarge and expand the story.
so did you have to edit like a lot out?
Um, no, actually, I did. I personally, when I edited, I didn't edit a lot out. It was more of word choice, sentence structure, that kind of thing. It really wasn't scenes.
Okay. All right. So,
And of
is
course, I had two editors on this book, one for content and one for copy. So that really helped, keep it clean
oh,
and keep it organized.
that's great.
Yeah,
That I
yeah.
bet you.
I
Yeah,
was really blessed to have that.
that's
They just
wonderful.
added so much to it.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet that is really fabulous. To have that. And is that something that your publisher offered to you?
It ended up that way for two of my books, Shadow Dancers, the last book that are in the Shadow series, and Enigma. I don't know that will be in the next book that I'm working on, but for those two books it was, and it just really, it shows they're just precise and clean and very streamlined. So I was just really blessed to have those two with me.
Wonderful. So, are you already working on something else?
Yes, actually, I have a contract again. It's another historic novel,
Oh,
fiction novel,
okay.
and it's going to be, it'll also be a historic romance. It's a Western, and it will be intrigue and romance again. So
Wow, a
it's
western.
set,
So,
it's set in 1868, I think is the year it's set in.
let me think. Is that right after the Civil War?
Yes, it's about 10, not quite. Let's see, it stopped, I think, I'm not sure. I think it was 65. So,
Yeah,
yes, it's definitely after. I think it's after. Yes, it's definitely after the Civil War. I didn't want to touch on the Civil War. I didn't want to get into that part. And I didn't want to deal with some of the other issues that were going on right before the Civil War, too. So I kind of skipped. That's how I ended up choosing that time period. So.
Okay. All right. Great. Oh, I can't wait for that. I love a good western.
Yeah, I'm excited about that story too. It's a story of a woman who is cheated out of her inheritance by her stepbrother,
Uh-huh.
and she is forced to go from Texas to Nevada to take this rundown piece of property. And when she gets there and tries to get the help that she needs, none of the men will work for her. And so she tried, instead of just giving up, she decides she's going to hire women. And it's a story of her and the women that come to work for her and what happens to all of them.
I love it. Do you have a title for that one?
It's called Western Blue.
Western Blue.
Western Blue. The name of the woman is Caroline Bluebonnet Hutchings, and her dad called her Blue, and that's how it ends up being Western Blue.
Ah, that is awesome. Wow. I can't. Do you know when that's going to be coming out?
It is, I don't know yet, but I know it's due to I start my actual edits with my editor in October of next year, but it's due in May. But
Oh.
I start editing now. I don't edit to October because I'm going to be on the Appalachian Trail. I've decided to walk half the trail next year, so
Get
I
out
will
of
be on
town.
Yep, I will be on the Appalachian Trail for about 4 months next year. So
Wow. Where are you starting from?
we're starting a friend of mine from Texas actually is going to go with me, Brenda. We are going to start about the end of May at what's called Caledonia State Park near Gettysburg. And we'll start
Yeah.
there and walk south to Georgia.
Oh my goodness. I'm just you're going to go right past my house.
I know you said you didn't live far from Gettysburg or from the Appalachian Trail there in that
Yeah.
area.
Well, actually, Gettysburg is close to 2 hours away.
Wow.
But the Appalachian Trail, I can see it from my house.
Oh, I have to wave to you. And well, I don't know if is that the part going south from Caledonia pass by you, or is it the other way?
Yeah. You'll be
Oh,
going.
you'll have to
I
let me know
think. Wait,
Let
I
me
have to
know
look.
where it's at.
Wait, I have a
Okay.
map of the Appalachian Trail right in front of me.
Well,
I
when
will.
you look at it, if
Yeah.
I go by, let me know about where it's at, and
Oh, you know
maybe we
what?
could say hello to you or something on the way.
I think you will be beyond me already.
See, that's what I was thinking, that I
Yep.
was beyond. The Caledonia State Park is
Yep. I see the
beyond that area.
Caledonia.
So,
You're almost
no,
to the
yeah,
Maryland border there.
yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh
bummer.
well.
Bummer. Maybe I'll catch up with you in Ohio one of these days. We're
Yeah, that'd be great.
we're actually heading to Akron to go see Jesus Christ Superstar sometime this spring. I forget when it is,
Oh
but
wow.
yeah.
Well, maybe I'll be there that same week or something. I have family in Akron still. I go there quite a bit.
Oh,
So
awesome. Great. Yeah.
yeah. Let
So
me know. Keep me posted.
I definitely will. And same here. Let me know when you're going to Gettysburg.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be leaving, like I said, the third week in May. So
Okay. All right. So maybe we'll catch up with
yeah.
each
So
other.
lots of things pointed to when I was doing Enigma. It just all pointed to doing that World War II, pre-World War II, right before Pearl Harbor time period, and I just I'm very excited about it. It was wonderful to write it, and it was a great experience to be involved in that and to see those great people and what they did during the war and right before and what they had to go through. And I've gained such a great appreciation for the women of that time period and what they went through.
So is Enigma meant to be a standalone?
Yes, it is a standalone novel.
Okay. It's not going to be like the Moonshadow series, right?
No,
Because I think that first one
no, I
was
don't see that happening. I
okay.
don't.
Wasn't the first one supposed to be standalone, and then you wrote more?
Yeah, I think you're right, Anita. It did.
They just kept coming,
It did.
and
It did, but I don't think so because I've already started, like I said, I started working on another contract for a whole different time period.
you
So
never know.
yeah, I know, you never know.
Do you have any plans for additions to the Moonshadow series?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's pretty much I've moved on.
Okay. So for our listeners who aren't familiar with your Moonshadow books, can you tell us about those?
Sure, those are a 3-book series. It starts with Rachel, who is a security agent, and her friend Claire, that they fall in love, and it's a story of them progressing in their love and in their relationship, and the things that happen to Rachel and Claire as they go through their life, and there's some significant people in their lives that don't want them to succeed, and especially Rachel, and she goes through all kinds of things trying to get her life in order, and of course her and Claire have to go through some things to have their relationship grow, and it all comes together in but the first book is Moonshadow, the second one is Shadows of Steel, and the third one is Shadow Dancers.
All right, great. It's a good series for you listeners who haven't read it. Check it out. And Enigma is available. It came out on November 1st through Bold Strokes, and November 15th, I think, everywhere else.
Yes, it'll be out here shortly. So
Okay. All right. We can't wait. I'm looking forward to looking at that one and Western Blue. Whenever that comes out, I'll be bugging you.
Good. That's great.
So
I'm right in the process of writing, or like I said, right now, and
awesome.
it's due to my publisher in April.
So can we expect a book about the Appalachian Trail then?
I don't think so.
What?
I won't say no, absolutely not. But it's funny you should mention that because a friend of mine called, and she's in the process right now. She's another fellow author with Bold Strokes, and when she found out I was going on the Appalachian Trail, she actually called and asked me if it was all right. She was getting ready to start a book about a woman hiking on the Appalachian Trail, and she said, "Are you okay? I don't want to steal your thunder." I thought it was so sweet that she'd
Oh,
asked me to do that.
heck
And I
yeah.
said, "No, absolutely not. You go ahead and write your book." So
That is
I don't
like,
have any plans for that. I really
okay.
don't.
That's
I
unbelievable
th-
that she asked you that. That's nice.
yeah, isn't it sweet?
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons I don't is because, in the first book, Moon Shadow,
Mm-hmm.
when Rachel and Claire were in a plane crash and they landed in Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to hike. Rachel and Claire and their two friends had to survive and get out of there. It was a lot of the experiences I had, and a lot of my just relation to myself as far as in backpacking and all that came into play in that book. And it's like I got that out of my system
Okay.
when I wrote that book, because it was quite the survival story for them for a while in Moon Shadow. So
Okay. Awesome. So, I've never asked you this, Susie, but have you? What genre do you like to read?
what books do I like to read?
Yeah. What genre? Yeah. Like, do
I
you?
like romantic intrigue.
Okay.
I really do. I'm not usually a straight romance reader. I like to have that action, adventure, and intrigue.
Okay. So you
I love
write what
romance.
you
I
like
like
to
to read.
read.
Yeah, I like, and I do read romance, and I do read mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to be well rounded. I also read non-lesbian fiction also,
Mm-hmm.
because I just like to, I like to see what's going on, what other writers are writing, what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was my goal this year to read several Pulitzer Prize winning novels. And so I ordered some and have been reading them. But when I'm writing, and I know other authors are like this too, when I write, I can't read.
Yeah. That's hard.
Well, it's not just that I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's just that
Couldn't.
I seem to immerse myself in their writing, and I have to be real careful. So I
Yeah.
don't usually read when I'm writing.
I can understand that their characters are in your head, and
Hmm
you got to clear
And
them out.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, I get into the characters when I read the stories, just like every other reader.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can. That's hard to do. So, can you tell us about any good books you've read or you're reading?
And that I've read,
Yeah.
The Telltale was really good. I really enjoyed that one. That was by Claire Ashton.
Oh, okay.
And I read a book. Oh gosh, I've read so many. I've read a couple Bold Strokes authors here recently, and enjoyed them. Uh, Elena Erdell just came out with a new book. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Fire and I hate it that I can't remember what that book is about. What that book is called.
I'm not familiar with
Um,
Helena.
yeah, she's a new author. This is her first novel,
Oh,
and it
okay,
was
great.
a great read for me. I've read, oh gosh, I've read uh, J.C. Morrison,
Okay.
Perfect Fifth, and Nance Sparks. I just read Secret Sanctuary for her,
Okay.
and
Great.
let's see, Jeannie Levick had a book came out called Embracing the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that one. That was a great book too. So there's been a lot of, I've read a lot,
Mm-hmm.
in between editing and not writing yet. So I kind of like sucked as much in as I could, and
Yeah.
as many stories as I could read until I started writing again. So now I'll slow down and just go ahead
Do a little
and
writing.
write.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just focus on my writing.
I know.
But I like to read Westerns. And
Okay.
of course, I know you and I have talked before about my all-time favorite Western is by Larry McMurtry called Lonesome Dove.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But I like some other non-lesbian authors too, like ones that have action, adventure, and kind of intrigue, those
Mm,
kinds of things.
cool. I just picked up a new Larry McMurtry. Don't remember the name of it, but yeah, it's one that I hadn't read before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
There are some great authors, and
Hmm.
both lesbian authors and non-lesbian authors. I'm so grateful that I get to read them, that I can read
Yeah.
and take my time. And I like to read. I don't travel as much as I used to. I used to travel a lot and listen to audio, but I like to pick up a book and hold it in my hand and read it.
Yeah, me too. That's my favorite. I like to when I'm mowing the lawn on the tractor, like I like to
Mm-hmm.
listen to books but
Mm-hmm.
it's just I it just can't compare to picking up a book and reading it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. So, Enigma sounds like it is just an awesome book. I am so
Well, thank you.
impressed like that you spent 8 months doing research for that. That is incredible. That really is.
Well, it wasn't constant every day, but in
Sure.
India it was, and I do have to put a plug in though for the Barberton Library staff that down there in Barberton, Ohio, that were so gracious in helping me and helping me find what I needed. They were just so good to
Oh,
help me.
that's so nice. That's awesome. And I'm sure they were glad to do it too. Like,
Yeah, they were. They
yeah.
really were. They were just so helpful and excited that I was writing about Barberton. So
Oh, that's so cool. That's great. So, Susie, thank you so much for being on the show today. I am looking forward to reading Enigma. It sounds like a winner. And yeah, and I also am looking forward to Western Blue too. Um,
well, thank you, Anita. It's just such a great blessing for me to be able to be on your show. I just enjoy so much being with you, and hope things are going well for you. And
yep. Yeah.
lucky us that we have you out there for us as authors, and it's really greatly appreciated. It really
Uh,
helps us to get our books out there and get them known. So thank you so much for that.
yeah, absolutely. And thanks for being on the show. And I'll have to catch up with you either in Gettysburg or in Akron one of these days.
Okay,
All
you
right.
bet.
All right. Well, thanks again. That's all the time we have for today. And I'm Anita Kelly. Thanks for joining Liz Talk About Books, baby. And thanks again to Suzie Clarke. And look for her book, Enigma. Until next time, may your journey be lighthearted, peace be plenty, and be safe, folks.